After seeing this dude on TikTok completely miss the point of CCR's Fortunate Son and then getting a recommendation for this kind of topic, today we're going to talk about songs that are misunderstood. Whether people think they mean one thing but they really mean another, or they don't feel like there's anything to analyze at all but there is some hidden message in there, I'm going to go through and list a bunch of the most significant examples in music history. Starting off with Fortunate Son by CCR, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen, This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie, and any of these tracks that people somehow think are patriotic celebrations of the United States. I hate to break it to you, but they're not. Fortunate Son is a protest song rejecting the Vietnam War, and specifically, it's about how young, helpless Americans get thrown into senseless wars by those in power. Born in the USA is about the struggles of a working-class Vietnam veteran after they return home. This thing is oozing with sarcastic patriotism that tens of millions of people across the country definitely don't comprehend. Woody Guthrie wrote This Land Is Your Land in 1940 after hearing God Bless America on the radio over and over again. He wanted to critique private property and economic disparity in the US, and that is very clear in his original lyrics, but he took out a couple of the harder-hitting verses because he was scared that Joseph McCarthy would persecute him for being a communist. You can still see Guthrie's politics in the version that got recorded, and this is basically used as a backup for the national anthem, and that is tragically ironic.
This land was made for you and me.
Speaking of communism, we can talk about arguably the most famous song ever made, John Lennon's Imagine. While it comes off as a sweet track about generally spreading the love, that's exactly what Lennon wanted people to think. He was quoted as saying Imagine is virtually the Communist Manifesto, but he sugarcoated everything because he knew that's how his message would get out to as many people as possible. Instead of being super direct and scaring the public with leftist ideas, he made something more palatable and hoped the seeds that he dropped would blossom through the masses. Closing Time by Semisonic is one of my favorite examples of a song being misunderstood. You've heard it time and time again, and you're saying to me, okay, this has to be about getting kicked out of the bar when it's late at night, right? Nope. It's about the birth of the lead singer's child. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from could have meant anything about living life to the fullest, but I bet this room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come makes a lot more sense in this context. This room, more like this womb. This one's weird. The fake story of In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins being about a guy who could have saved that other guy from drowning but didn't was made famous by Eminem's Stan, but that's not what the song was about. As Phil explained to Jimmy Fallon in a 2016 interview, this incredibly famous song was an improvised rant about his divorce. Phil was in an emotional place, very clearly bitter, and he made up most of the lyrics off the top of his head during a studio session. Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler might seem like the average song about love and love lost, but boy is that not the case. Songwriter Jim Steinman wrote this track for Nosferatu the musical, and yes, it's a love song about vampires. This was the original title, and once you remember that most of the lyrics describe shadows, darkness, and immortality, now you know why. While Royals by Lorde sounds like it's about materialism, and that is the true meaning behind the song, there's a story behind the title that I doubt many people know. She was flipping through an old National Geographic magazine from the 70s, saw this picture of Kansas City Royals icon George Brett being swarmed by fans, and she liked the word on his jersey. In the end, the photo does play with the idea of status, and you can certainly tie that into the lyrics of the song, but really, Lorde just saw the word Royals and wanted to throw it into the track that she was writing. Who Let the Dogs Out by Baha Men is another one of my personal favorite stories. I'm guessing most of you haven't even given this one a thought, and if you were gonna tell me what it's about, you'd say, somebody let the dogs out. But this is actually a feminist protest song that is denouncing catcalling. Seriously. Well, the party was nice, the party was pumpin', and everybody having a ball, until the fellas started name-calling, and the girls respond to the call. I heard a woman shout, Good Riddance Time of Your Life by Green Day is basically known as the music that plays during your high school graduation, and I think that context has morphed everybody's idea of what the song is actually about. The tone of the track is pretty hopeful and uplifting. You combine that with the graduation setting, and everybody thinks it's about transitioning from one place to another and living life. And while that analysis isn't bad, this is a breakup song through and through. Billy Joe tried being as level-headed as possible, so most of the lyrics stay true to that, but I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life is 100% sarcastic, and if you don't believe me, look at Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams is not about the year. That's all I need to say about that one. With Macarena by Los Del Rio and Gangnam Style by Psy both being songs with dances attached to them and the lyrics are not in English, it's fair to say that most people, at least most Americans, have no idea what they're dancing to. Macarena is about a woman named Macarena who cheats on her boyfriend with two of his friends while he's getting deployed into the military. I'm dead serious, that is not a joke. Every Breath You Take by The Police is one of the more baffling examples here. People seriously dance to this song at their weddings thinking it's a romantic love song, and it is so blatantly about a creepy stalker. Sting wrote this shortly after his divorce, and with the line, "I'll be watching you" spoken 14 times, I really don't know how people mess this one up. I'll be watching you. You're Beautiful by James Blunt is the same sort of thing. Couples fawning over this soft, touching track, but it was inspired by a breakup, and the subject matter is frightening, not cute. You really have to wonder how many couples out there had stalker anthems playing at their wedding receptions. You're beautiful. Third Eye Blind's Semi-Charmed Life is a classic instance of that thing where the track is catchy and fast-paced, so you just assume that everything's happy underneath, but again, if you take one look at the lyrics without the music playing, you're gonna be shocked. There aren't even hidden references here that could have multiple meanings. This is a very direct, raunchy song about a couple that becomes addicted to crystal meth. Forever Young by Alphaville is some signature 80s synth pop, and this was a classic prom song back in the day. After it was sampled by Jay-Z and Mr. Hudson and Young Forever, the track had a whole new generation of kids thinking it was about youth and coming of age, but isn't it funny how we've all sung the lyrics, "Are you gonna drop the bomb or not?" and it still wasn't abundantly clear that it was about the fear of nuclear war. Blackbird by the Beatles is one where I think everybody knows what the themes are about, but the origin of the song isn't as well known. Lennon and McCarthy wrote the song after learning about the Little Rock Nine, the group of African-American students who challenged racial segregation in the public schools of Little Rock, Arkansas. The track's messages of being broken down and tired but still fighting on and trying to break through to something more have always been universal, but it's so inspiring knowing that the origin of this beautiful song is regarding the civil rights movement. You were only waiting for this moment to arrive. I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston is known as one of the most breathtaking love songs ever written, but it was originally by Dolly Parton, and it wasn't a romantic love song at all. Dolly's first big break was working on the Porter Wagoner show alongside the titular Porter Wagoner. He was her mentor, and they were business partners for 7 years. When it was clear that Dolly should move on to bigger and better things, she wanted to write Porter a song to show how much she appreciated all that he's done for her. She sat him down, sang him this farewell song, and went on to become one of the biggest superstars the world has ever seen. To close out this video, I just want to list a few more prime examples of irony because spreading these stories was my goal with all of this song, explicitly making fun of something, but then that song ends up becoming the anthem for that very thing. Swimming Pools by Kendrick Lamar is about alcoholism, and people turned it into a song to drink to. Fight for Your Right by Beastie Boys was a satire of party anthems, and it became one of the biggest frat boy party anthems of all time. Song 2 by Blur was a parody of American grunge music, but it became the band's only big hit in the US. And And I've made a whole video on this one, but similarly, Hook by Blues Traveler was about how lyrics don't matter and people will eat anything up as long as there's a catchy hook. That song had a catchy hook to test the theory, and it was the band's biggest hit. In the end, whether it comes to Baha Men and their feminist anthem, or a laundry list of songs being celebrated by the exact people who are being made fun of in the song, I just think it's interesting that within music, there's always more than meets the eye. Or ear, I guess. Let me know if you have any good examples of songs that are misunderstood in the comments, and thanks for watching. Hey, thank you for watching that video. This one was fun. I hope you liked it. If you want to support the channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on social media at RenshawHS. You can buy my merch, support my Patreon, and thank you again. I'll see you soon.